You're listening to Speaking Stellar Girl with Teri an interview series that inspires women to live their most stellar life. Teri is the co-founder of the Stellar Girl movement, and she is sitting down with women all over the world to hear about the key moments in their lives and how they live boldly, compassionately, and ultimately became a stellar girl.
Welcome to Speaking Stellar Girl. I'm your host, Teri, and I'm thrilled today to have Daisy Jing joining me. Daisy is the founder of BANISH, which is BANISH Acne Scars. And Daisy struggled with cystic acne most of her life. And what seemed like more the products that she tried, the worse that it became. Daisy ventured and went to Duke University in hopes of becoming a dermatologist so she could help others. And that she did. Daisy launched the brand Banish 8 years ago out of her kitchen and bootstrapped a now multi-million-dollar business from the ground up. And I cannot wait to hear about your Stellar Girl journey, Daisy. Thank you so much for joining us on Speaking Stellar Girl.
Thank you, Teri, for having me.
So you have quite a story and quite a background. You struggled with cystic acne most of your life. You experienced some very negative, feedback and comments from so many other people. And you created this business that got rid of the scarring that you had when you had cystic acne. So how did it all begin for you? Let's dive into your background just a little bit.
Yeah, so I've had acne since the third grade. It's just been a part of my life. And throughout junior high and high school, it got progressively worse. And it seemed like the more dermatologists I went to, the more pills I took, the more products I put on, my acne would just get worse and worse. And I was like, why is this happening to me? Why are these products not helping my skin? And then on the flip side of that, you get teased all the time about, being the girl with acne. You get called pizza face. People give you unsolicited comments about your skin. And so when you're 12 years old and you think that you are defined by the cystic acne you have, that's just what you think is reality, right? So it really affected my mental health. And I would say affected my mental health even more than the actual skin. So I wanted to become a dermatologist because I was like, what do I want to do with my life? Well, I want to fix this problem. And I wanted it to come from a perspective of empathy because I felt like when I went to dermatologists, they were just going off a checklist, like try this, but no one really addressed like the emotional consequences that it has on you and your self-confidence. So I took some pre-med classes, Duke University. I was on that track to become a dermatologist. And then there I started a YouTube channel, just, secretly just reviewing different skincare products on my channel and showing them if they worked or not for my acne skin. And I soon realized that why are there all these ingredients in skincare? Like, why do they need to be in here? Back then it was like hundreds of ingredients and you could barely read it. Yeah. On the box. And I was just researching. I was like, this doesn't need to be on there. There's actually no skin benefits other than to make it smell good, make it feel good, make it look pretty, but it actually doesn't help the skin. And I was like, I don't want to be putting perfume on my face every morning and having it irritate, break me out. So I kept researching. And I was just like, all the products out there were like that. And I was like, maybe this is why I'm breaking out. Maybe my skin is really sensitive. So I started concocting some of my own skincare. It's very, very simple. And I definitely went after the less is more mantra. And, before you know it, people on my YouTube channel started commenting on my skin and they were like, Daisy, your skin is amazing, phenomenal. Like it was the first time I actually got positive feedback about it. Yeah. So that's when I knew something changed and that my skin was getting better. And so long story short, I decided to send a few of the products to people on my YouTube channel who wanted it. And that's how Banish was born. And this was, before, the cold clean beauty movement, all that stuff. There's just really like pure ingredients and just the simplicity of the skincare and the products.
And did you work with chemists and a cosmeceutical company to develop your products, or how did you get that started?
So the first product I didn't, but like going onwards, I did as the company got bigger. But I had enough knowledge from just, a little bit of my organic chemistry, microbiology, all of that to know what ingredients I did want and not want. and use it on myself first. And then as we got bigger, worked with different manufacturers and chemists to expand the line.
And you found, I mean, you had acne at very young age. Mine developed in my 30s. And, they wanted to put me, on Accutane right away because they tried everything else. The sulfur, all the different medications, the list goes on. They wanted to put me on birth control and then take me off, which is a question I will ask you in a quick second. And I didn't want to go on Accutane. I didn't want to put that into my body.
Right.
And were you told to try that?
Yeah, I was told to try Accutane. I tried birth control. It did not work for me. I mean, it was just so much like putting stuff in your body and then taking on so many other drugs to like counteract the side effects.
Right.
So I was, prescribed everything.
And why, and I read on your website, why does quitting birth control start acne? Like, is that hormonal balance?
It really depends on the person. And this is why there's not like a one size fits all, unfortunately, for acne. But some women, when they get on birth control, their skin clears up like that, right? And sometimes it's prescribed for that. And some women, when they get off of it, their skin flares up or their skin clears up, right? It really depends. And it's the same, as being pregnant. Like some women, they have glowing skin when they're pregnant. Some women, they break out or have really dry skin, and vice versa when they have the baby in postpartum. So it really depends. But yes, hormone fluctuations, I think, is a huge part of having acne. So you really have to figure out like, how to balance your hormones, how to stabilize them, and whether, going on the pill would help with that or not.
Right. And you talk a lot about like what you're putting into your body as well as your environment that affects your skin, because our skin is our biggest organ, as we all know. And, are there certain foods that we should be staying away from if we have cystic acne?
Yeah. And I wish I could give you a one size fits all advice. But from some of our brand ambassadors and some of our customers, this is what I've seen. Meat and dairy can cause acne. Just all the stuff we're putting in milk and dairy products, pumping hormones, and a lot of
pesticides
animals.
And chemicals into our food.
Yep. And that can affect your hormones, right? And it's just so crazy. Like you think of all those hormones that are put into these animals and then we're ingesting them. Like, how does that not affect you, right? And your hormones. And so when your hormones are not regulated, it can actually increase the oil production in your skin, which will cause that deep cystic acne. So you just want to make sure your hormones are as stable as possible. So meat and dairy can cause that for me. Sugar was a huge culprit because I am more prone to that diabetes scale. And when I have too much sugar, your insulin levels rise and all that stuff. And that can actually affect your hormones, or can affect the sebum production in your skin. So that was one culprit. And, before I started researching all the sugars and everything in the standard American diet, like,
right,
you get a mocha, it's like more sugar than a can of Coke, right? So, but you don't know that because you're drinking that every morning. And so I just constantly get this like blood sugar spike and, withdrawals, and, the sugar really affected me. So when I cut out the sugar, I was actually suffering with migraines, and I still suffer with them, but my migraines actually stopped a lot. And then my skin started to improve. So I noticed for me, it was a sugar culprit, but I think it depends on, different people. I know people who eat like crap and they have amazing skin, and then others, like me, we have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah, I have to be more careful. So you went and searched to become a dermatologist, but instead you met one, and he gave you or helped you or suggested some products like vitamin C that you started using on your skin, a concoction, like a do-it-yourself that you said that you made and started sending out your viewers. So, what ingredients did you use on your skin at the very beginning?
It was all about eliminating the unnecessary ingredients. So I think back then there was just too many product or ingredients in skincare that caused a lot of irritation and stuff. So there are really amazing ingredients. It's just, how are they formulated in a way that will make the ingredient work for your skin without risking, acne or irritation on your skin. So for example, vitamin C serum, we actually make it fresh in-house. So our products are made fresh every day. So when you order them, they make it the next day and then ship it out the same day. So because of that, we don't have to use as many preservatives. We don't have to, put a bunch of fragrance or colors or dyes. And for example, with our vitamin C serum, it has ferulic acid in there. I don't want to go too technical into it, but
no, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Ferulic acid is found in the plant cell walls, which is so cool because that actually fights off the free radicals from like the sun and the sun damage, right?
Right.
So that coupled with vitamin C actually stabilizes the vitamin C. So once vitamin C gets exposed to light and air, it oxidizes and becomes less stable. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just is not as effective.
Okay.
So with the ferulic acid, it'll actually balance it out and stabilize it. So we put that in there. And when you get our Banishs oil, our vitamin C serum, it's clear when you get it. You leave it out for 6 months. It becomes an orange color. Now, all this vitamin C serums you buy on the market are already orange, right? They already color it orange because the way they manufacture it is they need a shelf life. They need to leave it in their warehouse for, many, many months. So they don't want you to know, like, is it old? Is it new? So they just already color it orange. But ours is clear when you get it and it turns orange if you leave it out. Yeah. Wow. So just little things like that. I think because our products are in small batches, we have a team that goes in to actually like make the products. So, we store them in glass jars that are black. So, no sun and light and air can get through it. So there's just all these little nuances in the products that have made them so effective. And have made them so effective for 8+ years.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, I love your story. I mean, it's one that has, definitely affected millions and millions of people. And now your products, which one came first? Like the Banish, the scarring on your face, or the actual, like the Banish Fighter Gel, which actually helps treat cystic acne?
So our company started originally with acne scarring, and it is mainly known for that. So once my skin began to clear up, I wanted to treat the acne scars. I went to this dermatologist and he said, you can't do laser treatments. You can't do all these things because your skin is like a dark tone. So he suggested microneedling with the vitamin C serum. And this was back in 2010. Nobody knew about microneedling. It was not like, nobody knew what it was. And I was like, I'm not putting that on my face. You're crazy. But he said it is like the absolute best thing that you can do for your skin because it forces your skin to reproduce new skin, without any trauma or downtime or any like further chemicals. Like it's great. Right. And so he loved it. And he said, like, I recommend it. But I think it was really just educating people and getting the word out there, how amazing microneedling was. And Banish and the Banish kit was the first brand to really put that out there. And now it's, everywhere and people love it.
Yeah. And it does reduce hyperpigmentation, fine lines, scarring. I've had it. I felt that I needed a few treatments for it to get rid of my scarring, but it definitely works. And vitamin C, of course, I love your facial mister.
Yes.
That I use it like as a makeup sealer.
Yes, it's amazing.
And some of, of course, everyone has different types of scarring, as you talk about on your site, and you talk about on your channels, about rolling scars, hyperpigmentation, box scars, or ice pick scars. Everyone has different, different types of scars, and your Banish kit treats them all. Is that correct?
Yeah, they treat the like rolling scars, ice pick scars. What is harder to treat is the hypertrophic scars, the ones that kind of stick out. So that you'd have to consult someone. But yeah, definitely like the ice pick, rolling scars. Those are the most common for those who have scars from cystic acne.
And your products are extremely, like, there's no parabens. I apologize for the mispronunciation. Like, there's no dyes, there's no artificial colors, no mineral oil, no silicone. They're vegan. They're cruelty-free. I mean, you have the purest ingredients. And I love the fact that it's made to order. I mean, what other company can say and do that?
Yeah. I mean, it never like started out that way because we wanted to be trendy with clean beauty. I mean, we started this before clean beauty. It was simply because I broke out towards everything. And I was like, I can only use this ingredient and I cannot add any of that stuff. and yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it. It was just something that the skincare industry did to, make it seem fun to put on your face, but it's not necessary for skincare.
Do you believe that doctors should be treating, your personal opinion, with these pills or this Accutane? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think it's overprescribed. Definitely. I do think some people need it because nothing else works for them. I completely understand, but I definitely think it's like very much overprescribed. Like, I feel like, when I had like the first time I was going in for acne, it was like, okay, birth control, like give you a prescription, right? But you don't really realize, like, when you're so young, how that affects you.
Of course.
And yeah, I think it's, I think doctors tend to just go on a checklist and overprescribe things without looking at like the root cause of, okay, why is she breaking out? Like, and I think the Western, sense of skincare is all about like, let's treat the pimple and let's dry it out, but it's not about prevention and like figuring out what is the root cause. So it's not all doctors are like this. It's just the ones I went to, it just seemed like they were going through a checklist and they were just wanting to give you whatever without understanding like the long-term causes and effects. Like, they prescribe me so many antibiotics to take, ingest on a regular basis. And you take that for years, you have other problems,
Of course.
you become resistant to antibiotics they give you in the future.
It lowers
a lot of
your
people,
immune system.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people get reoccurring, even yeast infections or, other issues. Nobody really talks about it. Like, they just prescribe it. Okay. You're like, years later, you're like, oh my God, what happened? So you really have to think about the long-term effects of taking all these medications.
So let's go through like your list of ingredients that do treat cystic acne. And you mentioned, I'd like to talk about some because I don't know what they are. Obviously, green tea, aloe vera, things that I'm familiar with. Horsetail, we've heard of. Dandelion root, salicylic acid, retinol. But you mentioned menthol. You mentioned a go-to kula. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, that's an amazing plant that will help kind of treat the appearance of scars. And it kind of, I believe this was actually tested in a like plastic surgeon journal where they tested that after a plastic surgery scar. So it helps reduce the appearance of that. So there's just so many plants that you can use, things found in nature that can be used to help your skin. One of the ingredients in that fighter gel is dimethylsulfone, MSM. And that is actually found in organic, fruits and vegetables. And I mean, there's a whole study. I'm a nerd and I went into this, but basically back in the 1950s, when they introduced fertilizer, we stopped getting that ingredient internally from the plants, that we were eating because they put fertilizer and everything, just killed it. So after then, we just started seeing so much inflammation in our bodies, a lot more increase in rates of diseases with a lot of inflammation. And that was strongly linked to that. And so now we want to get that ingredient back in our bodies. They sell supplements for it. It's in the skincare, in the fighter gel, but what it does is it will help reduce inflammation. So if you do get a cystic acne, it will help reduce that and hopefully prevent other ones from happening in that area. But yeah, there's just so many things like in nature.
And geranium oil, you mentioned. Is it geranium oil?
Yeah, that's a great like antiseptic. So is aloe vera leaf juice, right? It helps.
Of course.
It's like an antimicrobial, right? But it's very gentle. It's not going to dry out your skin.
Yeah.
So, I know a lot of skincare, they actually put alcohol, right? As a toner in their products. Like, you want to be putting alcohol on your face every morning as toning. I mean, it's just, I think it's just important that consumers do their research and understand what they're putting in their bodies and on their skin.
100%. And then, I mean, they even talk about like when there's so much, I mean, I'm dating myself, but I remember those Snackwell's fat-free cookies and all these things was like fat-free. And then everything became diet with this sucralose and aspartame. And sucralose and aspartame, from the research that I've done, was also a pesticide, which killed plants around your vegetation that were harmful to the plant. And then someone accidentally got that into their mouth, realized it was sweet, ingested it, and now they put it in Diet Coke and all the diet products that you see, like with sucralose and aspartame. And basically it's a pesticide that our bodies can't even digest. And I found when I stopped, having anything diet related and eating real food full of natural sugars, that, your skin feels better. Your brain isn't foggy. Your digestion's better. Your gut health is better. There's just so many things that go into our foods these days that we just don't even realize. We just put them in, just like you said, the medications that are prescribed.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy. I actually saw a nutritionist and she was telling me that the diet, that sucralose, all that stuff that in the diet foods and drinks, because I'm guilty of like loving like Diet Coke and Coke Zero and all that stuff. She said it causes your belly, like belly fat, but it's higher up. It's not like a beer belly. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true, because I could not for the life of me get rid of, that the fat wasn't like below. It was like right where she said it was. And it was just from accumulating all of that, and I couldn't get rid of it. And once I stopped drinking,
isn't that incredible?
It went, yeah. I mean, it's just, and you think it's like, oh, calorie free, like whatever, it doesn't count. But I mean, it shows up
in so many ways. It's so many ways. Just like everyone's like, oh yeah, to have a glass of wine every day for your heart health. I'm like, no, I'm all for having a glass of wine, but maybe not every day have, a bottle of wine. That might not be so good for your heart health. But let's talk about your 8th anniversary. Congratulations. This is incredible and amazing. And talk about like the National Acne Scar Awareness Day that started when you guys launched the brand in 2013.
So we wanted to celebrate by making a holiday National Acne Scar Awareness Day. And the reason why we wanted to do this was because we see a lot of talk about acne, but we don't actually see a lot of talk about the acne scarring. And for me, the acne scarring it was more traumatic, I would think, than the actual acne, because it was, it was permanent damage to the skin. And acne scars are the hardest thing to get rid of. Ask any dermatologist, right? It's absolutely the hardest thing. And I was always told, don't pop your pimple, it's going to leave a scar. Or do everything you can to make sure it doesn't scar, as if that's the worst thing that could happen. And so when I was left with hundreds of scars on my face because every single pimple left a scar, I felt it was, very traumatizing. And there was actually a study done on people with acne scars, and they say that those with acne scars compared to those with acne, if you see someone with acne scars and with acne, for acne scars, the first thing you notice about someone is their skin. For someone with acne, it's their eyes. So in actuality, it does really affect the way we perceive them subconsciously. And, they did this study that, people with acne scars are perceived less positively than those just with acne, right? And we never see, even in society and in media, the antagonist is the one with the scars, right? And the scars, right? The protagonist is always beautiful skin, flawless skin, blah, 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 right? So subconsciously, we just think people with scars are bad, right? People's scars are evil, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so we really want to change that narrative that like, textured skin is okay and it's normal, and it doesn't mean you're a bad person, and it shouldn't be viewed negatively. So along with Banish and, along with creating amazing products, we really want to inspire confidence in people and being confident in their own skin. And I say like, whether Banish gets rid of your scars or not get rid of your scars, you are still with your skin, and your skin is constantly evolving. So you have to be confident in who you are. And so our mission is to really, really change that beauty narrative and showcase that textured skin is beautiful.
I love that mission. That's incredible. And it's a great story. And it's such tremendous courage and bravery that you show all of these stories on your channels and on your website, and you show your own journey, your own photos, your own videos. And that's stellar. I mean, you definitely have shown, as a side of you that you were covering up with makeup for so long. And then now you can share your story and so many others as well. So that's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, Teri.
Let's finish off with one last question about, celebrating and encouraging each other. These days we talk about at Stellar Girl, how we can better champion and celebrate and encourage, support other women. And how do you feel we can best do that?
I mean, I love that, because that's all like I'm like the biggest like empowering women supporter. So for me, actually, in my business, we are mostly women. We have a few guys, but mostly women, and a lot of us are working moms.
And that's why you're in your car today.
Even before COVID, it was all like remote, because I just felt like it's not necessary to have you commute, an hour, whatever, right? So, giving more flexible work policies, or just allowing flexibility in people's work. As long as, shit gets done. That's what I say. I don't really care when you do it, as long as it gets done. And also putting women in positions of power, I think, is really, really important. If women are not in the rooms where decisions get made about our policies, about work, about corporate policies, all that stuff, then we're still going to be where we are today. So I really think it's all about us putting women in those positions of power, even if, the woman herself, she can say like, oh, I'm not completely 100% ready, but that's okay, right? Just going for it. Because I feel like women were such, we're more likely to be perfectionists. We're like, I'm not ready for that, or I'm not whatever enough. But frankly, like, men just go out there and they do it, even if they only, fulfill 50% of the job requirements. So yeah, just getting women and pushing them to like go out there and go for it, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, I mean, not enough of us don't say that we're stellar, like that we've done.
It's
look at everything you've accomplished. It's friggin' stellar.
I
right?
know. And you
can't, and you feel like, oh, it's not, it's not humbling, or, it's not something you want to say out loud, but why the heck not?
Exactly. And I think women, I think we're raised to be perfect, right? And just from a young age, we're raised to be pretty and perfect, and just kind of be in that corner and just be like, I'm so pretty. And like that, right? Society teaches us that. But for boys, they're taught to be rough and take risks and go out there and, do that things. And I really think we need to change the narrative of like, women, we can go out there and do those things, and we don't have to be perfect, and we don't have to be what society calls pretty all the time, No,
we can be our own hype girls, and we can be our own, we could have a Stellar Girl squad and just be each other, just hype each other up. That's what we should be doing. Yeah. Right. So thank you so much for joining me today, Daisy, and sharing your incredible story and your super successful stellar business. I think this is, if people are listening today that have somewhere to go, that needs some, so they don't feel alone. I'd love for everyone to check out Banish. You have a couple of Instagram handles. You have the Banish Acne Scars, and you have Banish, where people can go. They can ask questions to your team, and also visit your website, and we'll tag everything below, even though there's something to be said about purposeful promotion. And I love that you hype yourself up too, because heck, look at that. Like, look at what everything you've accomplished. And we just think that's so stellar, girl. And thank you so much for telling us how you got to where you are today.
Thank you so much, Teri.
We'll see you on the other side.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of new episodes. To learn more about the Stellar Girl movement, please visit us at stellargirl.com.